It must not be a capitalist system, but we don't want to exploit anybody. We don't want to be exploited, and we don't want to exploit anybody.
Ain't nobody gonna do it for us. It's nobody outside of yourself, nobody outside of ourselves that's going to do this work for us. We have to put in that real work.
Because the better you are at exploiting people, the more successful you are within capitalism.
We want to say salute to all our political prisoners, our POWs, our elder comrades in exile.
The satisfaction we need as a people only comes through liberation and independence.
Because we're not just building for self, we're building for the family, because the family is broken. We're building for the community is broken. The nation is broken. The race is under attack. We're in a state of emergency.
You're tuned in to the New African Broadcast Association, where we inform, educate, and elevate. Free the land. Nada.
And welcome. Get this echo out the way. Hold on just 1 second, y'all. All right, welcome to another episode of. Hold on. Mute your mic, come right.
Something wrong with that screen. Yeah.
Hold on.
There you go.
Welcome to another episode of the Voices of New Africa, the show where we educate the uneducated, re-educate the miseducated. I am your host, Brother Prophecy, but I'm not by myself. I got my comrades with me, and we got my elder, the grand master teacher, the brother, the comrade with all the knowledge, man. He's going to give you some information that you're going to blow your mind. And that's none other than elder grand master teacher for Dolly, and of course, my comrade, my partner in crime, which we've been struggling for many moons, many rotations, revolutions around the sun. And that's comrade Kakayi, and we're part of something called the New African Independence Movement. We strive and struggle for land, independence, self-determination, reparations, and we're trying to establish an economic system that is not based on the exploitation of man by man. And I want to welcome everybody to the show.
Free land.
Everybody out there already. The Mad Black King. What's up? Free the land, comrade. I don't remember talking to the Mad Black King, but I'm so glad to hear from you. Welcome to the show. Melly Queen, I see you out there doing your thing, and I appreciate what you're doing, Queen. Joe Gonzalez already checking in. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get this thing started right early, good and early. We got a lot to talk about, a lot going on in the news. We're here in Ida Webb City, formerly known as Memphis, Tennessee. And recently, well, just now, a couple of days ago, it was announced that 5 police officers were fired from their job because of the brutal murder of 29-year-old black man Tyre Nichols, who was stopped. They say he was driving reckless, but he was stopped, and they say he fled. They apprehended him, arrested him, and apparently beat the hell out of this brother because he ended up in the hospital with a broken neck and cardiac arrest, and he succumbed to these injuries. And the brother, after protests and people having to bum rush the National Civil Rights Museum during the Martin Luther King celebration, finally we got some attention to this case, and and the police are finally fired, and they're talking about releasing the video, I think, tomorrow. But a lot of people are talking about noticing the fact that all 5 police officers are black, and they're trying to say, well, we can't talk about racism or the system how it is now because black people do it. It's just another example of black on black crime. And I'm gonna open that discussion up to you, comrade, Grandmaster Teacher, because you so eloquently broke that down on our radio portion of the broadcast. So I'm just going to open it up to you. What you got to say about it?
Okay, this is not simply a black on black crime situation, or black on black killing situation. The police have been playing this role ever since the beginning under chattel slavery. Even when they brought, on the slave plantation, had black folk, Africans, beating other Africans, on behalf of the overseer. So when we look at the police in Memphis and all other places where we are local, brutality by these cops who have become part of the system. And I think that we have to begin to be careful when we categorize it, because they're part of the enemy troop formation that is occupying our community. And they have, even though in the civil rights era in the 70s, where the black policemen complained, and they formed the Afro-American Police Union in Chicago, and the Memphis Police Union is came as a result of, in other words, joining that with the Afro-American Police Union in Chicago. And so consequently, they got a lot of support from the black community, and thinking that they were going to, be righteous brothers, and would be treating us in our community like if we were so-called citizens, which we are not. But so now we find silence on the part of the so-called Afro-American Police Union. There are no voices coming forward, and what happened is that these guys who are now cops and have said that they are blue instead of black, and so consequently, when they're treating our people just like the white cops treat our people, with a vengeance to basically do whatever they can to us. And this goes all the way back to the beginning, even in Memphis. It goes back to when the police were hired and put on the police force. They could only patrol in our communities, and they were brutal. Many of them were brutal. In other words, they had a reputation. They had a couple of cops called the Beale Street Twins, and their reputation was beating and knocking on heads of black folks. And this was in the early 50s and early 60s in Memphis. And the police have not stopped playing this role. And so even in terms of Memphis, there's a history of police beating folks. And there's one instance in '74 when Elton Hayes, 16-year-old boy, had supposedly stole his father's truck, and they had a chase. And Memphis police have a habit of if they chase you or you run away, they're going to beat you up. They're going to either kill you or they're going to beat you up. And this is a part of this tradition that these 5 police officers are playing. And we have no sympathy for these guys, but we understand that this system is not set up to serve us. They only serve property, or serve white owners of property, stores, and all that kind of thing. And so therefore, when we look at what's happening in Memphis, then the black cops become the agents of the system. And this is what we talked about earlier. And becoming agents of the system means that you are going to be, once the people realize you're agents, are going to be a target, because here you are looking just like us, and you're not serving us, you're serving them, which means that you're an internal enemy to our community. And of course, we've had, cops that, black, but there's a saying even among black police officers, well, good black cop don't last no more than maybe 2 or 3 years, and in Memphis Police. So therefore, if you behave toward your people as in other words, that you're serving their people, you're not going to last long, and they're going to find a way of kicking you out or putting you in, under some kind of situation where you have to leave in the Memphis Police Department. And this is what we have to realize and understand. And so these people have no connect. They have no respect for their own community or the people in their community, and they behave accordingly. But we do have a self-hatred situation, to the extent that we understand that even in South Africa, Zania, as some of us like to call it, they had hired, they put black folks, in the police, and they would they played their role of beating up the people in their community and patrolling their communities, the black communities, in Zululand or whatever, area that have been reserved for black folk. And we have the so-called ghettos of Memphis, and projects of Memphis, and we find people who come from those areas, come from the so-called project. I knew personally some people who came out of the project like the Moore Guard, and they became the most brutal police officers toward their people, and so consequently, I have no sympathy for those 5 guys, and this is separate from just people who are doing domestic violence and other things they do in our community toward each other, but it's a part of a self-hatred. We find it not only in the police department, but almost any system by which we have our people coming into existence in these systems, and they behave more purer than even the white folks. And so, we got an example of a president called Barack Obama that killed off Gaddafi and killed off some teenagers in Somalia who were trying to because they were fishing the boats and stuff. The oil boats were coming through and was destroying their industry. They were not able to do their fishing, so they took over the boats. And so Barack Obama felt like that was put the Navy on, and capture a couple of them, and they killed some people. But what I'm saying is, in this situation here, the family went to the mayor's Martin Luther King breakfast. We got a white mayor in Memphis, and he had a Martin Luther King breakfast, and they came and interrupted the breakfast to inform us in the community about what happened to our brother Nichols, and they had pictures that they had taken how they had beaten that brother, and the bruises and stuff, that was all contusions and bruises were on, were on the picture on the face. You could, and it's been put out in the national news, but it didn't break out until Martin Luther King Day. They also went and if I had known about it, I would have been a part of whatever process. But they went to the Civil Rights Museum and they, presented their case about what happened. So then all of a sudden you see national news, of it, because the police have had this information since the 10th of January. He was arrested the 7th of January. He died 3 days later. And the Memphis police and the mayor and all those people had hidden, this process because they didn't want the people of Memphis. They felt like the people from Memphis were going to riot or what. This is what they have said. This is their explanation. But the Memphis police has never willingly given out information when their officers have violated, the so-called rights of the so-called people of Memphis, particularly black people and people of color. And so when we look at this situation, we can look at that they're playing the role of an overseer, in other words, in our community. Because in our community, we rarely see white police, patrolling our community. We see black police controlling our community, and they're treating our people in just the same way because this is part of the routine.
Definitely. But so yes, I want to give some shout outs to some people who've joining the broadcast and joining the conversation. Fix your camera again. Melly Queen, I see you doing your thing. You got a lot of comments out there, Melly Queen said, these pigs have no conscience and see no color. They have a blue heart and blue pig skin. And I feel the sentiment and I understand where you're coming from, but I would say they do see color, because a lot of times we get wrapped up into, there was a black man, there's a white man and all this. We have to understand that this is a system that we're dealing with, a system. Just like Grandmaster Teacher said, Barack Obama, a lot of people got excited because Barack Obama came into office, thought that we won the grand lottery and all, but all he did was continue the agenda of the American empire. And he assassinated an individual president who had been beneficial to a lot of African nations. So this is a system that we're actually up against. It's not about changing the hearts and mind of a few individuals, because literally we've been so indoctrinated into this system. We can get rid of all white people. As long as we indoctrinate into the system, we're going to continue to carry on the program ourselves, and we will end up exploiting ourselves. So this is what we're dealing with. It basically it's neo-colonialism. If we're in power, it's still the same system. We have to attack. We have to get rid of this system. That's why we need our own. We need our own institutions. We need our own government. We need our own self-rule, so we can create a system that is about justice. Anytime you're under colonialism or neo-colonialism, justice is one of the first things that's lost. You know, it's impossible for the people to get justice, because justice is going to be handed out from the individuals who have benefited from your exploitation. And they do not want to break that chain of control, which allows them to effectively exploit the masses and push down and prevent any kind of mass rebellion against the status quo. So it's always going to be difficult. So I say, I say these individuals, these pigs do see color. Just because they black don't mean they see color. They don't see colors. But the problem is we live in a system that has devalued black life. So if you're giving authority within this system, they understand clearly who they can brutalize, who they can't. If this was a white boy from Germantown, he would not be dead right now. He'd be alive. He probably wouldn't even went to jail. They probably would have said, "Hey, man, slow it down. People out here, go on about your business." And that would have been it. But understanding this is a black man from where he is, he ends up with a broken neck and them trying to cover it up until they can't cover it up anymore. So I see Madam Vice President, Mama Ayo Deli, I see you out there. They are likened to self-hate, and I guess you was going to say some more. But yeah, this is definitely a part of the self-hate in which our people suffer from, which has been produced in a system that has told you that your life is worthless for over 400 years. We are the victims of a 500-year propaganda program, which has miseducated us and created a colonized mindset, which leads to much of the self-destructive behavior that you see in our community. And they are not even, we shouldn't even be trying to wait on them to address the problem. It's something that we have to address, but they are putting obstacles up, because in their public food system, they are attacking. They won't even allow us. They're making laws. They're making it illegal for us to even teach our history. As Grandmaster Teacher pointed out in the radio broadcast, in Florida, they just denied the AP Black History courses. I saw somewhere where they're trying to put forth a law which would make it illegal for you to teach anything that would make white people feel bad about their history.
They already have it.
They already have it
in Florida.
I mean, this is crazy. You're making it illegal. First of all, you rob us of our history, rob us of our culture, our language, our God concepts, our belief system, our nationality. Rob us of that in this system of chattel slavery. And now, once they say we're free, you make it illegal for us to teach us and try to regain some of the things that we have lost. Like the Honorable Marcus McGarvey said, a people without the knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. And if a tree don't have its roots, then it's just going to die. And that's what you see within our community. And they are making an obstacle, putting up barriers for us to try to reclaim our roots. So I say, is this something that we should be accepting? Is this the best we can do? Are we not worthy of more than this? A state that will murder us, a state that will create propaganda saying that we are less than human beings, and then make it illegal for us to teach otherwise. And I'm going to yield on that. You got anything you want to say, comrade?
Well, I was just thinking, these 5 cops, we have to get to a point where we are in control of the decision-making process of what happens to our people. We have to begin to start thinking in long terms of how to handle situations within our community, having tribunals within our community where our people understand that the superior court is the court of the community, and we hand down the decisions of the things that need to be done to our people, and especially when it comes to us committing crimes amongst ourselves, because we'll be the best people to deter that type of action, considering the fact that we're inundated with miseducation about ourselves and self-hatred about ourselves from outside communities. We have to understand that those decisions that we make in terms of that will be decisions that will be outside of the box. So we have to learn our history. We have to teach that to our children. And we have to make sure that the new generation understands wholeheartedly the importance of our existence and what is taken, what needs to be done amongst us to continue to move forward as a people, and grow as a people, and grow as a nation, and as a race. We have to begin to think along those terms. And the answer to the decision that needs to be made about our people, only our people can say the actual punishment that needs to be done. My position on any one that has been given the opportunity to have authority in this white supremacist system to do anything against our people can lead up to death when it comes to murdering our own people, and you're in authority under the oppressor's system. And that will deter the next blacks that are police officers from doing what these brothers.
And what I would say is, I'm not even gonna miss it. I'm not gonna miss it.
I'm not gonna be ashamed to say that our people need to be able to start thinking outside of the box.
Well, I think that there should be a deterrent for anybody to come into our community and murder.
Yes, but I'm not concerned about anybody in this capitalist society. We already know that these white folks and their capitalist system is not for us. I mean, don't get me wrong when I say I'm not concerned about white people and what they think we should be saying on the air, in their media, and all of that.
I'm not talking about that.
I'm saying that you ain't saying nothing towards that. I'm saying that I ain't concerned about anything that white people have to put in to try to tell us what to do. We're not property anymore, and we have to start thinking outside of the box, that what we decide as a people is the law. And we don't care what these Europeans have in place, because it wasn't put in place to benefit us in the first place. We are preaching to our people about exploitation and all of the things that they're doing, oppression to our people. We need to start thinking outside the box. What are we going to do as a community? What are we going to do as a people? How are we going to change it? What needs to be done? Why are these people in authority position not been taught enough of their history to know that, if to be honest with you, you let our people go.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go on plug your computer up. But yeah, what only thing I would add to what you were saying is, like you were saying, you should be a deterrent for black cops to come in and do that. I just said it should be a deterrent for anybody to come in and brutalize our people. Regardless of who it was. It can't be just say, okay, we're gonna punish black cops for doing this. We got.
But we're talking about black cops.
Yeah, what I'm saying, it can't be just something.
Let me have anybody outside our community get a stiffer penalty than what we give our own.
But
depending on.
Let me go back to this. Did you want to jump into this conversation?
Okay. So when we talk about trying to deal with our people, like. We got to be think outside the box, but we got to also know that we have class enemies, and that the class enemy is just as terrible as the external enemy. And so therefore, what I'm saying, because we are closer to, the internal enemy, there's some things we can do, and things we must do. Also, once we get organized, once we, get ourselves to the point of where we understand that we have to control our community, to the point of where we have to, control the behavior of the people in our community that are misbehaving. And so consequently, I would say that when we talk about, that we got, in other words, because I hear somebody talking about, we got to teach our children. We have to teach our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, our mothers, their mothers and their fathers, because nobody that knows that they can't teach. How are you gonna teach something that you don't know? So our program of education has to be one that is total, so we can organize, people at different levels, so when the children, go out into around people in the community, everybody would be on the same pages, because they would know their history. So therefore, but what I'm saying is we will never know it as long as we resolve to be a part of this system. And so therefore these Afro-Americans, these African, we got to cancel that whole notion, because America is not our home. America never will be our home. That's why we're talking about creating our own state.
Captivity.
Yes, and coming out of captivity. Therefore, and then we can start to govern ourselves. And so, because we know that enemy is still in Haiti. I'm talking about the Marines, the U.S. Marine, and they are designating these Haitians that live in America to become president of Haiti and stuff like. You know what I'm saying? The ones that have betrayed their own people to come to America and identify, and so the United States government is putting these people in place in other countries that we, that we have. That's neo-colonialism. And since neo-colonialism is the biggest enemy, then we have to first, because we have contact with these people. That's why I agree with Kakai on terms of, it's not like we don't have physical proximity to these people. Many of them live in our community. You see what I'm saying? So consequently, they need to feel the pressure from the community in terms of in terms of how they behaving like their so-called white compatriots, that's in, and so and in the 70s, in the 80s, the Black Liberation Army had resolved to try to take care of the external enemy, and had done the job that would be necessary to get to curtail, their activity. But since the FBI and CIA have eliminated, our presence in terms of revolutionary organization, then they have come back with a vengeance. And over 1,100 people last year, 1,100 people were killed by police. Black people were killed by black, more, because they don't even report. All police officers don't report to the so-called federal government. So this is only a guess of where they've already been reported by 1,100 people. And this is much more even than before the so-called pandemic and all that. And we have all these killings and all these protests, and still the numbers of black people are mounting that have been killed by the police. So we know that civil rights is not going to be the answer. We know that the court system will not be the answer, because the court system is going to only do that is, the limited activity to try to quell our anger as a people and all that. And then we got to begin to get our people to not forgiving our enemies. I don't care whether internal or external. In other words, so consequently, this is where the educational process has come in terms of people who don't know, our history, and the re-education has to take place toward those people who don't believe that we as a people can come together to overcome these injustices.
Now, before I lose my train of thought, you said something that was very important, and
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add to these brothers. Okay, when you say what people don't understand, Grandmaster Teacher, when you say we have to learn our history, they have to understand, like these brothers, these 5 black cops, new African cops, that did what they did to this brother. They're gonna learn in an expeditious way that they are second-class citizens, because they might get the death penalty, even though their white counterparts got retirement checks and living the rest of their life without having a job. They can just collect their retirement. They're gonna be in for a rude awakening. And we ain't gonna be there to help them because you did something wrong to your own kind, self-hate. And then white folks gonna let you know that you still a second-class citizen, even though you gave your life to do their dastardly deed. And that's what you did.
And I'm with you, all right. But and your stuff just ain't working right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're 20th century slaves. 21st century slaves.
That's right.
No, definitely. I'm feeling you there. And especially, you made the point because these individuals are African, so-called African people, and you made the point last show about how we have black politicians who get into office and they try to do the same thing as their white counterpart, and they are punished for that. Right. And that can very well be a situation here, especially now that you have these black cops who have murdered this black man, and it's probably going to be a situation where the system comes down on them hard, like they should come down, give them the punishment that they deserve, although they're not giving their counterpart the type of punishment, and then try to put it before the people, say, see how we're doing right, you know what I'm saying? Right. And we're saying that, yes, you damn right, these cops deserve to go to prison. They should go to prison. Have absolutely no sympathy for them. But the guy who killed Darius Stewart, who was murdered not too far from the place Tyre was murdered from, he's walking around free today. He deserves to be in prison.
That's because they pulled up that he had a child support case. He was a criminal. That's why he was able to be murdered without anything happening.
Exactly. So,
and then we supposed to believe that. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm tired. We tired of all remedies have been exhausted.
But not only the guy who killed Darius Stewart should be in prison. The guy who killed Michael Brown should be in prison. The guy who killed Eric Gardner should be killed. The guy who killed Aiyana Jones, 7-year-old black woman, should be killed. The guy who killed Tamir Rice, young boy, should be in prison. All of these individuals should be in prison. A lot of times, people say, well, you have some people who are being, they convicted. The guy who killed George Floyd, things are getting better. But as you pointed out, they highlight these police officers who get, a little time, but we're not talking about how last year we broke a record for police killings. Right. We're not talking about that. You know what I'm saying? So don't get fooled about, what's going on within this system. It's a system that cannot be reformed. Reform is not the answer. If you reform the system, you just make it more efficient for them to exploit us. That's what happened within slavery. Slavery didn't end. It just became more efficient so you can enslave us in such a sophisticated way that we ask for it. And that's the very nature of this system. That's why you have to understand the system. We have to take a scientific approach to our liberation. It can't be based on emotionalism. It can't be based on, oh, I see they doing something. We don't came a long way. We still got a long way to go, but we sure don't came a long way. It's just like somebody beating you 20 times a day and they cut it down to 15 times a day and saying, oh, we came a long way, until these motherfuckers stop beating us, period. Then we ain't where we need to be, point blank. But I want to go to some comments, cause we got a lively discussion, man. People tearing it up, and I love to see that. I love to see that, family. See some people that are on here that I ain't seen in a while. Let me go back up to. Dang, it's been a lot of people down here. Let me see. Melly Queen, I stop. Trust and believe. When it comes down to it, they always change because to show them that they are still black, new African at the end of the day. Yeah, so you know but I mean, like I said, you know, if they come down hard on them, so be it. You ask for it. You ain't got no damn business coming brutalizing your own damn people. What the hell, you know? No sympathy whatsoever, you know. And I'm with you. You know, they need to have community justice. It didn't, you know. But anyway, Brother El Abdul Muhammad, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Always good to hear from you from California. Peace, love, and life, my fellow comrades from your brother in California. Definitely good to hear from you, comrade. Sister Sade Ship, haven't heard from you. Hi, hey, everybody. Hey to you, comrade. You just had a birthday, didn't you? Happy birthday, Sade. What's up? How old are you? 18 now? Stephen Muhammad, how you doing? Free the land, revolutionary salute, comrades. Definitely good to see from you, Stephen Muhammad. Let me see what we got going on. Y'all got conversation in between each other. El Abdul Muhammad, I'm going to be speaking about the black police chief in my home city, Oakland, California, being suspended for my suspended for my police department corruption. Oh, damn. Okay. Do that. Keep us informed on how that go.
We got a black woman police chief needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, we got a police chief down here need to be dealt with. they made our police chief a black woman now, so you know that's some psychological warfare on you, you know, so we get that sympathetic vote or whatever. Madam Vice President, they want us to trust our own black police department. And like I said, it ain't about the individuals. This is a system in which we have been indoctrinated into. And as long as this system is based on the exploitation of man by man, then we always gonna get these same results, and we got to do away with that system. That's the only way we gonna actually liberate the people and allow us to raise to our highest form of human potential. Joe Gonzalez, comrade, I live in Southern California. Definitely would like to get together with action. Damn right. You know, that's really what it's going to take. Collective action, collective struggle, us working together. Let me see. We got some advertisement here. Save the date, March 31st to April 2nd, 2023 in Charlotte, South Carolina. Charleston. Yeah, Charleston. Yeah, I'm sorry. Come celebrate with the Republic of New Afrika celebrating 55 years on the road to a plebiscite. Free the land. And plebiscite, that's a vote, you know what I'm saying, by the people that say we want our own nation. And that's an important step that we got to reach toward, so we can correct this situation. We can stop this. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. Let me see here what we got. El Abdul again. Black cops don't shoot, never murder, or kill white Europeans. Documented facts. Check my department record. Yes, they see color. Yeah, I'm with you. They definitely see color. Like Grandmaster Teacher, you were saying that, you know, initially when in Memphis, Tennessee, the black police officers weren't even allowed to even arrest. Yeah, they weren't even allowed to arrest white people. You could only arrest people in your own community. You know, and that's just kind of shows where we live, you know.
So they definitely and they have a reputation for brutality. The original black cops.
Wow, that's something. So the original black police in Memphis, Tennessee, out of Bewell City, could not arrest white citizens, but they had a reputation brutalizing the only people they could arrest, which were the people that looked like them. I'd be damned. We go to see what our elder. I'm going to go to this one. Yes, check out our website at pgrna.com and support our efforts on building our own new African nation, Free the Land. And yeah, that's pg-rna.com. You can learn more about the efforts and what we're trying to do here at the Republic of New Afrika. Definitely got another elder, Baba Luke Carter. And see, now he's an elder, so I'm gonna be nice. But you know, I usually get on people for using my slave name, but I understand. I'm gonna give him a pass. I'm gonna give him a pass because he's a lot of him. Yeah. But nah, I mean, I understand why they do it because that's the name that's on Facebook. Yeah. But let me see. You said, Brother Prophecy, please use this platform to teach what we need to know our story. Tell us about more about Ida B. Wells and her research on lynchings and her agitation of the legality and of lynching Africans. Tell us more about the reason her friends were lynched for opening a grocery store.
Right, we got Grandmaster Teacher here. I know a little bit about that, but
okay, you want to do it?
Almost.
He wasn't there. He wasn't there without it. Come on now, come right. Come on.
Okay, so Ida B. Wells, known for writing a few books on lynching, and her investigation showed that the lynching of black men had nothing to do with any kind of sexual. It always was economic, and the People's Grocery in Memphis was operated by black men. And across the street from there was a white grocer that was suffering, in other words, for business. In other words, because black people were supporting black people. So consequently, these guys from the white grocer decided they were going to come and they were going to, try to harm the black owners of the People's Grocery, and they got in a conflict, and so consequently, the white grocer went to the police, and the police came and arrested three black men out of the grocery store, and ultimately they lynched those three black men right in Mississippi and Walker, which is South Memphis, one of the hearts of South Memphis, in Memphis, Tennessee. And so consequently, Ida had a newspaper in which she was dealing with those situations. And so when Ida had left and went to New York, and Ida was telling the people about what happened to her three friends, because all black folks was in the same community, they knew each other, and so they burned up Ida's newspaper office. And Ida couldn't come back to Memphis. Ida was not, ultimately went to Chicago. Ida basically told the people, black people, they need to leave Memphis. And it was estimated about 8,000 black folks left Memphis and probably went up to Chicago. And Ida wound up in Chicago, and Ida became a person that was on the board along with W.E.B. Du Bois at the beginnings of the NAACP. But Ida also became a civil rights leader in Chicago, and one of the things that they did was anti-lynching, marches and stuff up north, and so basically when we deal with Ida. Ida B. Wells was known to be aggressive. She carried her, her weapons with her and all that. And she advocated that black men and women should protect themselves, instead of against the assaults because we know that after the Civil War in 1866, there was a police riot in Memphis. That massacred a number of black folks in Memphis, particularly ones that were wearing uniforms, so-called Union uniforms at that time. And so it's always been a situation. And in Memphis, people from Memphis often had to flee the city of Memphis, as a result of any kind of activity by white. That was when Memphis was a so-called minority of blacks in the city, And even though we have other friends of Ida B. Wells that helped to save the city of Memphis, like the Church family, Robert Church, and all that, all these people were affiliated together. And but Memphis had a loss in terms of Ida because Ida was not able to recuperate in terms of her paper, to influence the population. And she became part of the civil rights movement in Chicago.
Definitely. Ida Wells, another one of our heroes or sheroes that they don't necessarily want us to learn about, that they're trying to ban us from teaching our own history.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just think about that. She, like you said, she really, was inspired by something that happened to friends of hers who owned the People's Groceries. And this is what happens when we do for ourselves. They became so successful that they was kicking the white folks a grocery store, but they couldn't even compete economically with these individuals who had a black-owned grocery store, and they got mad and they tried to lynch. They initially tried to lynch them, and they fought them back.
Right.
They attacked them because the two
children.
Actually,
it was a gun battle.
Yeah.
At the grocery store.
Yeah, it was a gun battle.
That's why they went and
got the police.
Mm-hmm.
But they came. Their whole reason for coming was because they tried to say that the black kids playing moms with the white kids would beat them up and wasn't supposed to beat them up, and they tried to use that as an example.
Yeah, and really it was just a justification to try to burn down their store, because they came like all like a mob, like they finna go give some justice to these people, and our people weren't going. In fact, how they got apprehended was because they was in hiding, and the police began to brutalize the community, saying, look where these niggas at. Where they began to brutalize their community. And the people said, well, I can't let the community suffer because they want me. So they turned themselves in, and the police later, murdered them in something called the lynching on the curb. Took them out on the curb and viciously murdered our brothers. And this is what inspired Ida B. Wells to go on the crusade that she did. I mean, she created something called the Red Papers. It, like you said, documented lynchings and taught really broke the myth, because European the power structure were basically saying, well, these black people are being lynched because they're violent and they're overly sexually and they're going around trying to rape white women. Kind of the same thing that was pushed out through that movie Birth of a Nation. That's why propaganda is so important, because this is a common theme throughout our history. This oversexed, overly aggressive, angry black man want this old stinking white woman. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even say that. But anyway, they want the white woman in the power structure, has to protect, defend the purity of the white woman. Therefore, it justifies the brutal murder, the lynching, the burn and lie, the castration, and all of the horrendous crimes against humanity that was inflicted on our people. So so thank you for that question, Babalu Carter. Anytime we have an opportunity to teach about our history, we definitely should.
Our story. That's another point in trying to make. Like Brianna Billio say, that's his story is what they done brought out here. Our story is time for us to tell our story.
Exactly. Madam Vice President said, New African Creed, New African Law, New African Creed, Law of Ma'at, and Nguzo Saba. Get into work, study, training, so we are clear about the nation we want to build. Definitely. Well said. Gotta understand what it is. We gotta understand our principle. We have to detach ourselves and deprogram ourselves from this Eurocentric mindset, the colonized mind that they have inflicted us with, because it causes, it's like one of the worst things in the world to see is an African person with a European mindset. It's destructive to self. It does not promote healthy interaction and nation building within our community, our nation, and our race. So we got to use these principles. You can go for it.
I think also we have to begin. We have to not employ the enemy's propaganda about how we talk about each other, because I'm saying this is where the re-education has to take place. Because many of us who are in the movement, who are considered to be in the movement or whatever, we want ourselves talking about people, black folks murdering each other to the point of where we sound just like the people that's out there. In other words, like we don't have any solution. And the solution has to be to build a movement. It has to bring we have to bring the people into the movement. And we have to begin to, and as we bring people into the movement, then we'll have action to be able to deal with people who are not going to be cooperative in our community, and so what I'm saying is that because it's people that just want to be gangsters, because they want to be rich. Brother Prophecy, Brother Yara talks all the time about the system in terms of, they want to be a part of this. We got too many people who want to be a part of the system. Those people who are just misguided, we have to re-educate them to bring them into the movement. But those people who just want to be a part of the exploitative process, we got to do what we got to do to get rid of them, because they'll always be the traitors to the movement. And this is really the biggest problem that we have throughout, is that these traitors, are mixed in terms of our organization, and they're able to inform on it to the enemy about what we're doing. And so we have to do something about that. I mean, like our brother said, think outside the box, because we have too many instances of too many assassinations and too many other things that have happened that we have to stop. We have to put a stop to that in order for us to progress as a people, because they're always going to want to create confusion. And so therefore we don't need to lend ourselves to this discussion that started by the NAACP and the Urban League in the 70s about black on black crime. This is crime in society. And Nkrumah says, Nkrumah, who was the president of Ghana, said that no man is born a criminal, because society makes criminals. And once you deal with that point of understanding that it's society that creates criminals, then you'll be able to deal with the condition and the solution that would come that would take criminals out. In other words, would change the whole situation where our people don't want to be criminals. So what I'm saying is, when I was coming up and all that, the pimp and hustlers and all that basically were looked up to because they had, material, wealth and stuff in spite of the system, as far as we saw it. But if you go back and look at the history of America and look at the history of cities in America, you'll find that the white gang, the Irish, the Italian, and the Jews in New York and Chicago and places like that. And so before they began to try to legalize, like the Kennedy family with bootleggers, they they legalized themselves and became presidents of the United States and all that. So these are the kind of things we've got to understand, because our people, our children are subject to these the images, and they want to build themselves, and empower the community, and they want to be in control. And have that wealth and have that all that that people think will be looking up to them and all that. So what we got to do is gain control of our community, and some instances we'll be able to make some of those people can transform. That criminal mentality can be transformed. That's what we talk about in prison, that we have people who are transforming their criminal mentality into a revolutionary mentality. So then we can make our youth who are in these situations where the only way that they can get any kind of income, period, is by becoming criminals. Is we have to get the leadership of those organizations and get them into those that are going to come to us and transform their criminal mentality to a revolutionary. And this is the only way that we're going to eliminate the negative type of activity toward one another.
That good comment too that leads to that.
Yes. Okay.
Comment. That's right there.
Okay.
It says this great show. This is a great show, and
hold on, you muted, brother.
I can't even get to it. What happened?
I got you. Hold on, comrade. I'm trying to unmute you.
Well, if you can.
Oh, I can't unmute you because you muted yourself.
And this
So
thing,
yeah, I read it. I read it while you're doing it. You got your screen too big. That's why you can't do it. So but I'll go and read it. I'll go and read it. We having some technical difficulties from human incompetency. But Brother Stephen Muhammad, he says, this is a great show and it is thought-provoking in the sense that it makes us see that there are alternatives to the U.S. government consolidated war machine. And you're absolutely correct, comrade. I mean, we trained to get in condition to believe it's only one way. We got to do it. We got to do it within the system, within the construct of a system that oppresses you. And anything outside, that's why people think, hey, you got to vote. You got to vote for Democrat or Republican, and say you're not a devil. And we have these ridiculous arguments talking about, well, he's better than Donald Trump. Well, Joe Biden, he signed the drug bill and all of that stuff. True, may be true, but who give a damn? Ain't none of them really gonna benefit the collective liberation of our people. So we should not even be worried about which one get in office. We should be worried about consolidating our power, building our own resources, gaining our own resources, creating our own institutions that we can do ourselves and go on that path of self-government and disconnecting from a system. And actually, when you look at it, the system within itself is falling, it's crumbling around us. You seeing the destruction of a system right before your eyes, but unfortunately, we are the foundation of this system. And if we are still connected to a system, once it falls, it's gonna fall right on top of us. So that's why it is crucial, it is imperative that we disconnect and we become as independent from this system that we possibly can. You know what I'm saying? But thank you for that comment, brother. I haven't seen Sister Sade Towns. You back in the house. Said greetings, everybody. Queen Sade, good to see you. Good to see you back on. Let me see. Stephen Muhammad, you said history is the best qualifier to reward our research. Now, where have I heard that quote from before? You know what I'm saying? One of our great freedom fighters, Brother Malcolm, would say that all the time, and that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Ayo Dele, they already know because they better not do that to a white person. Talking about those police officers who understand that under this system, we are told that black life does not matter, white life we should value, we should uphold it. You know what I'm saying? We have all been conditioned in that, and we all know those lessons. That's one reason why it's so easy for us to kill each other. That's part of the programming. You know what I'm saying? If anytime Kanye West can come out and say, well, hey, kill a nigga, shoot a nigga, that's real anti-Semitic music saying that, this is real music that is against people who share the bloodline of the people who were called Jews, and he get crucified for that. But yet you can put out songs that say kill a nigga, shoot a nigga, fuck this bitch, and all of these type of things, and you get celebrated for it. You get award for it. You're
able to become a billionaire.
Yeah, they pay you.
You stop doing what they ask.
They pay you a whole lot of money to celebrate the self-destruction of your own people, the murder of your own people. They will make you a billionaire to do that. So, I mean, of course, we all know, what will happen if they kill a white person. They make it abundantly clear what happens when you do something to a white person. See, still to this day, the woman who set up Emmett Till is free. They still, even though they just recently arrested and convicted 96-year-old Nazi white woman, you know what I'm saying? Still hunting them down. But they always say, never forget the Holocaust. But when you talk about what has happened to us, they say, get over it.
Right. And let me say this, we already have an example in the last couple of years where a black guy killed a white woman on Stop Police Stop. He's in prison right now. It was, that was up in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the black cop accident, whatever, fired a pistol and killed a white woman. And it was on a traffic stop, and they went and took care of him very quickly. Yeah. So what I'm saying is these are the kind of things that we know, that was a no. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Even if he did it accidentally, So we're going to see what this situation is here in Memphis, and then we understand that but like I said, the silence of the black police chief is deafening. In other words, to keep our people from not knowing even that this situation exists. Where the 5 people didn't get reported until midnight Friday night because they're afraid of the people, and they ought to be afraid of the people. But unfortunately, here in Memphis, Memphis is a unique place where we have not been able to rise up the people or raise up the people to take on the system, because of the control that these black folks in office and black folks on, have virtual control over the behavior of our people, and by promising that they're going to get justice. And so when I made that statement about Elton Hayes, a 16-year-old boy that was killed in '74, and the people in Orange Mound community in Memphis, which is largest black community homeowners in the country, were getting ready to take care of business. The NAACP leader, had a meeting at a church promising that justice was going to take place for Elton. It never took place. When the police beat him to death in '74. And so these are the kind of things that we have, and so the people of Memphis ought to be, angry. African people in Memphis ought to be getting out and trying to take care of business against the system as it is set up, because this system here in Memphis has been effective in quelling any kind of rebellion, that will take place, because the police in Memphis are the greatest controller of the population. In other words, when Black Lives Matter, the leaders of Black Lives Matter were in Memphis, and they had their march and they went to the bridge and shut off traffic. They've been catching hell ever since from the Memphis police.
Take over, comrade.
Yeah, it's wow, it's almost 2 o'clock.
It's almost 2 o'clock. We can. It's like preaching to the choir, but at the same time, we know that we got the word out. We know that a lot of the people who've been educated under these educational institutions here in the United States need to be re-educated. We also know that throughout the course of our educational experience here in the United States, we're not only being miseducated, but we're being led astray. We're being taught to believe certain things to be true. We're taught to accept certain things to be part of our normalcy in life or our culture. And these things are detrimental to us. In China, they're talking about right now changing their policy of not birthing so many women, children or women. Children, girls,
women, girls,
yeah, girls. They had limited their population. Then they didn't want to have so many girls born a year, and now they're about to change that because they're finding out that with the limited amount of females being born, this is their culture, and that's the normalcy. That now homosexuality amongst the men has become normal because of the lack of enough women. So now they're trying to change that. That example is something that we need to look at when it comes in terms of Black folks. They keep feeding us the wrong information. So certain things that have become natural or normal, not natural, normal to our culture has been engineered. And when we talk about social engineering, they're talking about things that are made to be the norm for us, are actually given to us. They're engineered for us to be, it's like, it's normal for Black people to be able to say that they've been in jail, know somebody that's been in jail that's associated, or have a family member that's been in jail. Now that shouldn't be normal for black folks, but because we under this oppressive, exploitative system, and it controls the information that we're fed, we're starting to be socially engineered to believe that that's the normal thing for black folks. We got people now that will see a group of black teenagers running in the grocery store in the parking lot. They will lock their doors
because we've been socially engineered to believe that a bunch of young black
teenagers will rob us. We got to understand the importance of having our own independent sovereign nation, being able to govern ourselves, having our own economic system, so we can control the institutions. It's a snowball effect, but you have to believe and understand that having our own land is a catalyst of this massive change, revolutionary change that are happening in the United States. And without lifting a finger towards defending ourselves, they will crumble without us. But don't get me twisted when I tell you they're coming for our heads, so we better be prepared and think outside the box of the things that we must do to survive under these conditions with these people who are considered the superpower of the world when they come at us. So don't get it twisted. I'm just saying they're going to crumble if we just let them crumble. They're crumbling now. But the problem is for us, the challenge is for us to all start thinking about the importance of having our own land, our own independent sovereign nation. So we can defend ourselves properly. We can have the support internationally that we need to function as a body of people who have their own armed forces to take care of the responsibility of protecting and defending ourselves. Because you best believe, New Africans, the world will support us because they're waiting on us to decide when. And I'm saying it's right now.
Oh, you want to
yeah, I want to say this because, and so therefore, what about the propaganda? There's a situation this week where 8 young black men got hijacked a car or something, and the court let them go. Usually the court would let them go. Black men, regardless of whatever their reputation. Return home to their.
Hold on, I think there you go. You was start your point over because I think you was on mute.
Oh, okay. There's a situation in Memphis this week where 8 youngsters, black youth, were released from jail custody behind a so-called carjacking. So now, these youth were not necessarily, they were not criminals. They're not, they didn't have any record. So the court let them go. Now we have people in Memphis who want our children to be locked up and treated as adults, and when white youth do the same thing, and white youth do the same thing, when they were arrested in Memphis, Tennessee, or any place, they will not go and lock them up. They will return them to their parents, return them to their homes. And so this is the kind of situation I'm saying where we'll look at where we who are supposed to be revolutionary or thinkers, and that we have to begin to get our people to understand that our children should not be locked up in jails and prisons. Marcus Garvey in 1919 in the Declaration of the Negro Rights of the World, and one of the items said that black children should not, or black youth should not be locked up in adult prisons. Okay, and we have seen the result because black youth are always continually locked up in adult prisons, and consequently, that life is destroyed once that happens. And one thing we have to begin to understand that this system is not, I mean, we as a people have to come together outside the box and defend the rights of our children to go back to their parents, to go to their parents to handle that situation, you know. So even when we talk about our children, we got to stop talking about that. They're thinking that the majority of our children are criminals. But our children are not, the majority of our children, 95% of our children are not criminal. They're not implicated in any kind of negative activity or whatever. It's only maybe about 5%, that have been affected by the system to the point of where but these 5% can influence, other children, like in schools and things like that. But this is what we got to begin to say. This whole thing about blacks killing blacks or blacks doing this to black has not to be. It's not to criminalize a whole people because of what a few individuals have done. And so that's why I say I don't talk. I very seldom you'll hear me talk about black folk murdering black, because this is something that always has been and will be as long as we're in this system. That is why we talk about breaking away from this system so that we can get control of our own lives and our own destiny, and we can have our own state, our own nation, and our own economy, and all the things, and control of all the institutions that affect our lives. And this is what that is all about, and not let ourselves get caught up in talking a negative about one another. And this is this is the biggest problem that we had, that we got. At one point in time in the Black Power movements and things, and we have been affected positively, and we were able to go into the different projects and stuff and walk, without being jumped on and all that, because then we talk about black identity and black, culture and all those things. But the counterintelligence program, that was their job, to break us up, and to lead us back. And for a matter of fact, the word nigger was outlawed for about 10 years, and it came back in Superfly and all the different kind of media type. And we made mistakes too, because some of our revolutionary rap group, the Last Poets, said niggas are afraid of revolution. So it re-legitimized the use of the word nigger, and it's a thing that is a problem that we have to resolve, even though some of our youth think that it's a positive, but we had to go back to the origin of the word Negro. That word Negro was a corruption of the word Negro, became a corruption of the word Negro, because the English, didn't want to speak Portuguese, so it said Negro, but we outlawed Negro. Negro is still outlawed, So what I'm saying is we have the potential to gain control over our behavior through our understanding of our history, our study of our history, and that's what Malcolm X, basically was talking about, when he said, we got to do that, and this is where we are, and so I'm glad that we got the audience that we got, because we can go back and begin to talk to people, that is not on this broadcast, and maybe we, I don't know whether you can get copies, have copies of the broadcast, to be able to show people who are not, tuned in.
Comrade, you want to pick up with read some of these comments?
Yeah, I can do that, because
they are. It's already on the what's called.
Okay. Yeah, the comments are great.
Let me unmute you. You should be good.
I'm good.
Can you hear me?
All right. So Stephen Muhammad, he says they are not New Africans, but rather slaves acting at the behest of their master's consciousness, and that's true. That is true. We have for so many years tried to navigate the best way through their system, and oftentimes the only way we can make money and do right is by snitching, being police officers, doing things to affect our people. Unawakened. I'm sorry. This is Vice Madam Vice President, unawakened and unaware, we call them the deaf, dumb, and blind. Ashe. Ashe. And Muhammad again, they are neo-Negro race soldiers for their colonizers. Yeah, you're right. They are the new version of the Caucasian. They just a new version. They look like us, but they really doing
they like black people in blackface.
In blackface, right? Queen Melly Mel, Queen Melly.
White people in blackface.
And white people in blackface. Yeah, nothing is better. We have to control our own lives. That's right. We have to control our own lives through having our own independent sovereign nation. It will definitely get us to that point. The Stockholm syndrome. That's Steve Muhammad. Yeah, that's where they say that you, as a prisoner of whatever war or whatever, the victim takes on the identity of the oppressor. Madam Vice President, not killing, modern day legal lynching every day, comrades. Yeah. Everyday modern lynching. That's what it is. Y'all better speak on it today.
we will
speaking on
every day.
That's right. That's right. El Abdul Muhammad, my lecture will be here on Facebook Live. We'll send you the notification. Yes, do that, my brother. Do that. El Abdul Muhammad. Read about Book Without Sanctuary in 100 Years of Lynching. That Stephen Muhammad is suggesting to read that literature. That's right. That's right.
And really, that book, you don't really have to read the book because all you got to do is look at the book, because it's just picture after picture after picture after picture of our brothers and sisters and children who were brutally lynched, because there was a time in history where they would just lynch a brother, brutally murder them, take a picture of their handiwork and use that as a post office, a postcard, and send it through the U.S. mail. That's how arrogant this was, and this is how valueless our lives was within this system, that you could brutally murder someone and use the evidence, send the evidence through the mail so anybody can see. So that's If you have an opportunity to see that book, Without Sanctuary, that's the name of the book. Read the book, Without Sanctuary. It's just basically pictures that European people took themselves or committing brutal crimes that they will never face justice for. My bad, you can keep on.
My point exactly. That's Madam Vice President. They are the best type of slave.
You still unmuted.
I put myself.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right, so Madam Vice President, my point exactly. She says they are the best type of slave catchers for sure. And I think she's referring to a previous comment there. But yeah, they are. These cops for sure. Sade Towns. Was I supposed to say a whole name?
You can't. You're two Sades on here. So.
Oh, okay. Wow. Gratitude, Baba. Hashtag IBW. Stephen Muhammad. The police force came to birth out of the slave patrol. They are called paddle rollers.
Paddy roll.
Yeah. Yeah, they sure was 1704.
It was our language. Yeah, we said we didn't say patroller, we said paddy roller.
Right.
So in other words, we didn't learn English. We in our accent, we in our own language. We didn't say patroller, paddy rollers. The paddy rollers are coming. And then when I was a youth on the street, I was thinking they were talking about the paddy wagon. But we were running from the paddy roller. We call them paddy rollers.
Okay. That's how you got to call the name paddy wagon. So when I was coming, they were putting us in the paddy wagon.
Right. So what it said is that not the the patrollers, but we were running for the same reason, from the patrollers in our community, which was the white police. There wasn't no black police that were running. There was before they had number of black. Most of the time we saw white police in the cars, and we had to run off the street. Had to run around to the next corner or something like that. Every child knew that then.
Oh, okay.
All right, comrade.
All right. And Madam Vice President says facts. That's right. Those are the facts. Joe Gonzalez, comrade, says, I want to thank you, revolutionary comrades, for sharing so much historical facts directly to the point, inspiring me to learn more about the struggles of the New African Movement. All power to the people. That's right. The NAIM, the New African Independence Movement, is something all of us should expose ourselves to. It transcends everything it transcends all of this misinformation that we've been told, because it encourages us to seek our own independence from our own narrative to achieve our own goals. And that's mainly to have our own independent sovereign nation with our own land, self-governing ourselves, and having our own economic system, scientific socialism preference. Stephen Muhammad, we must be vigilant in the distribution of factual information that speaks on oustery. That's right. That's right. And I put that word together, oustery, because that's what it's about. Stephen Muhammad, scientific colonialism reinforces the slave mentality. It's a slave mental matrix design. We must control the me. We must control the narrative. That's right. We must control the narrative, or else we're still property. We allow them to control the narrative. Who's supposed to suggest to us what we need for ourselves other than ourselves? You're right. And Stephen Muhammad also comments, whatever they can't control, they infiltrate and redirect its course. We must stop allowing them to hijack our movement and organization. You're absolutely correct, my brother. Madam Vice President agreed, comrade. We must intentionally and working on self, intentional and working on self, so we can be in alignment with our mission to build our own land. That's right. We are on a mission to build our own land. We're nation building now. If you saw the announcement, this March, the
31st through April 2nd.
That's right. We're having Nation Day in Charleston, South Carolina. So be there. Check out the website of the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa. That website is pg-rna.com to get more information about Nations Day, March the 31st through April the 2nd. Stephen Muhammad said, teach us, Baba. Each of you brothers have given us a wealth of historic information. Asante Sana. That's right. Yes.
That's what's up.
What time? Well, free the land, FTL. I'm sorry, I had to start with that, even though you said thank y'all, comrades, for another powerful discussion. And thank you, Queen, for keeping us on the real. Thank you.
Yeah, we coming to the end of the comments.
Yes. So, Brother Muhammad, he who has the ability to define phenomena has the ability to control the narrative. That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Our power.
That's right. And Sade Towns, much love, comrades. Much love to you, Queen. Much love from all of us.
Definitely. So Yeah, I mean, we've been on about an hour and a half. About time for us to go and get up out here, wrap up the show. But yeah, we really appreciate the engagement, and the conversation, being able to converse with the people, because when we say the voices of New Africa, that does not mean the voices of Kakai, Brother Prophecy, and Baba Fadali. The voices of New Africa is the voices of all of us New African people collectively sharing our voices, because it's going to take us all collectively putting our 2 cents, 5 cents, 50 cents, or however many cents we have to add to the pot, so we can ultimately reach our goal of liberation. So I want to thank everybody for that. And any closing words? I'm gonna go to you again, comrade.
As we've said enough, free the land. Our only goal and mission is to secure a national territory for our people, irregardless of what any other people in this Western hemisphere think, because we know in order to change our conditions for a long period of time, the Africans who were dropped off here in the United States must be the catalyst to start this whole thing, this whole Pan-African movement. And the first step is to secure our own national territory: Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And if they don't watch it, there's going to be a few more added to it. Free the land.
Free the land.
All right, Elder Fadali, I'm gonna come to you.
Okay, free the land. We have to make sure that when we talk to our people, and particularly we talk about subject of us killing one another, that we leave them with something that is more than that. Because a lot of times we find ourselves trying to agree with people, and these people are not going anywhere with that. They're not going to be organizing our people. So when we talk to people, we need to educate them to what the position should be in terms of how do we get to our people? How do we make examples of our youth who are part of movement, so that we won't be having that one little narrative, and talk about that all the time. We have to lead our people to understanding that we don't want to have black skins and white masks, and so therefore when it comes down to it, because I was talking to somebody that was a driver for a Lyft, and he went through a thing talking about we talking about all these folks, and we killing each other. I said, that's two different subjects, brother. We got to understand that when we talk about the police, this is something that has been done historically from the beginning. And we're not talking about, when we talk about police killing black folks, we go all the way back to the beginnings of black folks in chattel slavery and the lynching of black folks in the so-called Jim Crow era, and the legal lynching of black folks and around the so-called drug problem and all those things. But we got millions of people in prison that shouldn't be in prison. And so consequently, so when I get ready, we talk about people killing. We got to understand what is it that the society creates criminals. Society creates a condition over which people kill one another, and these are this is the capitalist society we are living in. And luckily, I was talking to my podiatrist the other day. I was explaining to him, being an elder, sometimes you can talk to people. And I told them that I gave them a little short history of things that were happening here in Memphis and why the conditions are the way they are. This is how the conversation should go. So we are educating people, who have no knowledge, because it has not been written down. I'm remiss because I haven't written my book yet, so we can pass around the information that needs to be in the hands of all our people. Free the land.
Definitely. And I'll just end it on this note. Does not matter. As long as you're in a system that is corrupt, as long as you're in a part of a system that is founded and based on the exploitation of people who look like you, it does not matter who's the head of it. It doesn't matter who the police chief is. It doesn't matter what the police officer looks like. As long as you're in a system that is founded on white supremacy, on exploitation, on the murder, brutality, and oppression of your people, that's what you're going to get. Right. So, like I said, no damn sympathy for these police officers. Throw them to the lions, whatever, the case may be. But we don't just need to throw them. We need to throw all of them. And we need to ultimately get rid of this system so we can do something for ourselves. My name is Brother Prophecy. I'm with my comrade Kakayi and Grandmaster Teacher for Dolly. We're going to leave you with our battle cry, and that is free the land, free the land, free the land. See y'all next week, y'all.
If you could see what I see, our community.
We always say at the Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, that I am a revolutionary.
These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. Free in the land, and we ain't